Hey YouTube, it's me Jazz, and this is my labor and delivery video or story to talk to you guys about how my labor and delivery experience was, how it went, and perhaps I'll include some suggestions and tips. So hopefully this video won't be as long as the one you're going to watch next or before, but let's jump right into it. So my son was born November the 6th. My labor was induced. I was not coming on my own. I don't ever come on my own. I did not come on my own with Bella. My water broke with her, but I wasn't progressing. So you guys who have followed me for a while know that. And with Ava, she just was stubborn. I went past my due date and I had to get induced with her. With little Nate, or my baby boy, he was getting so big and my pelvis is not as big, so we believed or felt that the best option would be to induce. Now, my doctor didn't say we are going to induce you because he is just too big. He said I need to be able to get him through your pelvis, so here's your options, and I can go ahead and schedule you out past a week from your due date if you want to do that, but you may end up having a C-section. And I did not want a C-section. I did not want to go under anesthesia to that capacity. I did not want that. So I chose to go ahead, instead of still trying to allow him to come on his own, I chose to go ahead and be induced. So that's how that whole thing happened. And I believe, because of how much he weighed, that if I would have went to the next week, that I probably would have ended up having to have a C-section anyway. Okay, so that's how the whole induction thing happened. So I was scheduled for November the 6th for him to be due, but I went on that Sunday. November 6th was a Monday. So I went in Sunday. I'm scheduled to go in, I think at like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock on the paper, but that was an estimated time that I was given before I left my doctor's office. And I was told that the hospital would call me and give me a set time, which they did that Saturday. I think my appointment was on a Thursday or Friday, or Thursday, and they called me that Saturday. And they gave me a time. I think they wanted me coming at like 7 or 7:30, and I was like, no, let me come in at 8 or 8:30, because my mom had flew into town, my sister had flew into town. Everybody was here as far as my mom and my sister was concerned, and you know, I was concerned about the girls or whatever. So me and my mom and my husband drove to the hospital. They drove me there, and we got to the hospital around 9 o'clock. I think 9 o'clock. I said 8:30, we got there at 9. We was late. And the check-in process was cool, you know. Prior to that, let me rewind. I did try to do everything I could. Not everything I could, but I did try to do a lot of things. I was too big, in my opinion, to do some of the other things y'all was suggesting. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't get myself to do that. So maybe that would have worked, I don't know. But me and my husband went walking and walking and walking, and I was so big. I remember walking around the mall and people looking at me like, just please don't have that baby here. Or we would go into a store and people would be like, oh, hi, how you doing? And what are you doing? When I say I'm doing Monday, they be like, oh, it was nice meeting you. In other words, please don't have that baby in the store. I ain't got liability insurance. So we did that. I ate the pineapple, all of that stuff. The only thing I didn't do was some of the things y'all suggested, you know what I'm talking about. And I did not do the castor oil, because I remember when I was pregnant with Bella, people were suggesting that. And I remember, I don't know this girl's name, but this was back in the day when like everybody was like really just starting with YouTube. And I remember watching this girl's video, and she had took the castor oil, and she was showing herself going through the process. And she did another video, because she ended up going into labor, but she did another video saying that she would suggest not to do that because it caused her to poop on herself when she had the baby, and the baby went inside and had swallowed some of it and caused issues. So I was like, it ain't worth all of that. So I chose not to do the castor oil. Fast forward, we're at the hospital, And I do all my registration paperwork, cracking jokes with the check-in insurance lady or whatever. And my body in my 30s, it just was different. And when I talk to other mommies, I agree that it might have to do with the fact that, yes, I'm in my 30s, I'm only 31, but I had girls before, and this is a boy that I had. And I agree, boys carry totally different than girls, like just totally different. It's just totally different. But anyways, so cracking jokes about that. Then it was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have the nurse come and get you and take you back to the room. So I sat down, and maybe like within 10 minutes, the nurse came and got me, took me to my room. I took a picture because I was thinking about hiring someone to come in and take pictures of this whole process, because in my mind, I'm like, this is my last baby. We're not having any more kids, so let's make this count. Hence the maternity pictures and all that stuff I did. So that ended up not working out, so I took a picture of the clock, got all that stuff, you know, the Pinterest stuff suggests that you do. Took my last picture of my belly with me and my little belly, my big belly. What I'm talking about, little belly? Me and my big belly. And got undressed and got in there, got my gowns on, went to the bathroom, and just laid there and waited for my RN, my registered nurse, who was going to be my nurse for that night, to come in. And she was checking out within a couple hours. But anyway, I had a set plan by the doctor as far as what my induction was going to be. And a lot of you guys know I hate Pitocin. I'm terrified of Pitocin, hoping I wouldn't get Pitocin. So here was the plan. Plan was going to be, I would get what they call Cervidil. I think that's what it's called. And then after that, hopefully I go into labor and we have the baby. And what Cervidil is supposed to do is, it's like a it was like a little plasticky device. I can't remember, y'all. Plastic device or something like that. And with a string, right? And it would remind you of a not a tampon, but the same concept almost. Like it has a string attached, if you will. But the medicine, and this thing was not big. It was like a small little device. And it was like plastic, but it had medicine in it, the Cervidil. And they go up and insert it up into your cervix, and it releases this medicine or whatever to cause you to be induced. The thing is it takes about 12 hours for it to begin working. And it's supposed to bring on about your contractions, all of that. Now, prior to this happening, I did try to research Cervidil, and people were saying things like, oh my God, it brought on the worst contractions and had my baby within 3 hours, or some people said it didn't do anything at all. I was concerned about the worst contractions part, and I'm like, 12 hours? Like, what? And I'm traumatized from Pitocin, so I was like, okay, whatever, let's just try it and see, and hopefully this is a better option than the Pitocin. So they stuck that thing up there, and I didn't feel anything. I was feeling like maybe within a couple hours some mild contractions, like it felt like more like period-like cramps. So it was just mild in comparison to what real, you know, contractions feel like. That's why I'm using the word mild. But it was mild. I was able to sleep. I drank some water. Like, I was able to just relax, really, you know, through the whole process. And then, let's see, it was about 4 or 5 in the morning. Was it 5? It was about 5 in the morning where I started feeling them. And I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel these contractions. It wasn't bad, but it was getting strong. I was like, okay, all right. So they decided to keep it in there, and I think it was about 7 a.m. It had to have been about 7, because that's when the new nurse came in there. And she checked me to see if I was dilating, and I was dilating a little bit. I was at like 3 centimeters. And then I think, was it 8 o'clock came around, and she checked me again, and I was like, I started feeling like wet, and I'm like, I think my water may have broken. And remember, with Bella, I heard a popping sound, didn't hear that. And with Ava, they broke it for me. Well, I told the nurse, and she's like, no, I don't think it broke, but I'll check. So she checked, and she was like, normally when I check you, it should have broken, but it didn't break right when she checked. Well, after she took her hand out, I was like, okay, it's broke, like water is coming out. And she looked and she said, oh yeah, it did. And so the cervidil had fell out too. It had came out. So she was like, okay, you're progressing. Let me go and call, you know, the doctor and see what he wants to do. So they was like, and what do you want to do for pain? And so I was like, well, I definitely want an epidural. So they said, well, let's go ahead and do that. Now keep in mind, at that time, I wasn't like in excruciating pain at all. I wasn't like dying. But it was getting a little strong, but I was not like, you know, how I was with Bella or Ava or anything. So they was like, okay, we'll go ahead and start now. So I was like, oh, cool. So the anesthesiologist, he came in there, he gave me my anesthesia. It was cool. Like, I didn't feel anything. And then after the anesthesiologist came, they were like, okay, we're going to go ahead and start you on Pitocin to go ahead and get you started. And by this time, I would say it's probably about 10 or 11. It was about 10 or 11. And they was like, we think that you probably going to have the baby between 12 and 1. Now, keep in mind, prior to that, the night nurse I had, she said she had been working in it for years, and we wanted to know what her guess was. She guessed that I would have the baby at 12:30. Everybody was saying it'll be around between 12 and 1. So he was like, well, let's see if she's right. Well, I got the Pitocin, and I love the way that they did this because I did not feel anything. And I saw my contractions jumping around, going crazy. But then, probably about 11:30, 11:45, my doctor came in, and everyone came in and was like, okay, so it's like your blood pressure is going down. So we're going to give you some oxygen or so. No, wait a minute. They didn't even tell me that that's what's going on. My mom told me. She's like, your blood pressure is going down. Because at first they was like, well, they said the baby seems to be, this might be a little too much for the baby. So we're going to take down the Pitocin, and then we're going to give you oxygen. And maybe that'll help the baby. And I'm like, what? What's going on? So my mom told me, she said, your blood pressure is going down too. So that's why they're stopping at Pitocin and stressing the baby out. So I was like, okay. So they calmed the Pitocin down. They came and checked me. And I was like 7 or 8 centimeters at that time. And it was like 12 o'clock. So the doctor was like, you're progressing. So you're going to end up pushing. So I would say about 1:15 got there, and everybody was coming in, setting everything up, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to meet my baby boy. Like, I was just so excited. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. Like, oh my god. And Nate's sitting there like looking all glossy eyed, and because he, you know, wanted a boy. He finally gets to see his boy, and my mom, she gets to be there. So everybody's like getting so excited. The doctor comes in, and he's so great. Even before we got to the pushing part, he came in and he talked to us for like maybe almost about 30 minutes and talked about, you know, having a little boy, as he has 2 girls and a boy, and his experiences and how great and awesome it'll be. It was just he has really, my doctor this time around, in comparison to the last one with Ava, he just has really good bedside manners. So I appreciate that. Anywho, everybody's coming in, it's getting time to push. It's time to push. I'm pushing, and he's coming, but it's like where the doctor could see, I couldn't see anything, and they had the mirror down. They had the mirror. It didn't come down like with Bella. They had like this mirror that was off to the side that they pushed over, and you could see what's going on. He could see that the baby, that little Nate, was like, I would push, and he would just get sucked back up. I would push as hard as I could, and he would get sucked back up. So finally, I'm pushing with everything I got. Because keep in mind, I have an epidural in me. And the epidural I had, it numbed me all the way from the waist down. So I couldn't feel nothing. So I'm pushing with everything I got. And finally, I see baby Nate's head. And at that moment, I pushed him. He went back in. I pushed him. There he is. And then at this time, the doctor's phone keep ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing. So finally, he has his nurse answer the phone, and she's like, there's another lady that he had that was in labor, and they need him to catch the baby because she can't hold hers in. Like, the baby's just coming out. And I think the head might have been right there, more further out than my baby head was. So he's like, well, just have her hold it. And they was like, we can't, because I could hear him a little bit. They was like, we can't. So he's like, I am so sorry. He's like, I have to go deliver this baby. So just hold right here. Like, I literally was like wide open, and I'm like, what? And my mom was like, what? And my husband's like, huh? And the doctors and the nurses are like, so then he goes, delivers this baby. Like, I literally have baby Nate. Like, I saw his head like coming out, but he did go back in, and all you can see is like his hair. So the doctor comes back in, and I tell you, he's sweating. Like, he's sweating. You can see sweat all across his hair was all laid on his face. And he's like, okay. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And so I pushed the baby out. I pushed little Nate out. And they got me all cleaned up. He stitched me up because I did tear. I think I had 2-degree tears or whatever. 2 or 3-degree tears. Stitched me up, and he was perfectly fine, because you know there was some concerns about the placenta. My mom said, Jasmine, what, nothing wrong with that placenta. That placenta was huge. She's like, it was about as big as the baby. But she was like, that placenta was huge. Baby Nate was getting everything that he needed. He was okay with that. And the umbilical cord was, I didn't see it, but I was told it was off to the side. But it did not have any bearings or any effect on the baby at all. So they cleaned him up, and let me see. Hold on, let me go back. After I pushed him out, they laid him directly on me. They cut the umbilical cord. They laid him directly on me, and he laid on me. He looked up at me, and I'm like, your neck's strong already. What the heck? And he looked up at me, and they was like, you need to go ahead and do skin-to-skin contact. So I'm sorry, let me correct myself. They did not immediately take him to clean him. Like, I had blood and gunk on me, and they had my shirt, my gown open, and he was laid on me. And I just held him, and they just had me do that for maybe about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15. But it felt like a long time, but maybe it wasn't that long. But I held him for a while. I feel it was a while. And then they took him, and then they cleaned him up. And he just laid on me. He didn't cry. He just laid on me. And then he just like was trying to put his fingers right here. And then they took him, and then they cleaned him up, and he was hollering. And then they weighed him, and he was 8 pounds, 7 ounces, 21.5 inches long. And that was it. It was just beautiful. Like, I think I was just in a maze, like, wow, like, I really have a baby boy. Like, it was just the most wonderful feeling ever. Did I cry? No, I didn't cry. Like, I was teary-eyed, but I was more just like, I was just in awe. I was in awe. Alright, so then I would stay in the hospital for like 2 days, and my experience at the hospital was absolutely amazing. I'm looking at him now to make sure he's okay. It was absolutely amazing. First of all, the food was good. The food was really good. My first set of nurses, it felt like they didn't really know what they was doing. Like, they knew what they were doing, but they were kind of like the nurses that were textbook nurses. You know what I'm saying? And then you got your nurses who have worked for 20, 30 years, and they have the textbook and experience behind that. And I had 2 nurses who were like maybe around my age, and then I had a nurse that would come in at nighttime, and she had to be like in her late 50s, early 60s. So she was like your mama, just like that. Like, she reminded you of like warm apple pie with a sassiness to her. Like, she was so sassy. So they were like, okay, you had an epidural, all of this stuff. We need to get you to you need to pee 3 times. And it hurted. Like, my body was in so much pain. Like, I was scared to pee because I was nursing and I was contracting. And you know, when you're nursing, like, your uterus is getting smaller and smaller, and that junk hurt so bad as it was contracting. And they said, and I don't remember it ever hurting that bad. Like, I remember it feeling crampy, but that junk hurted bad. Like, that probably was the worst part. And so they were like, you know, with your 3rd child, the contracting of the uterus as it gets smaller, it hurts more with each child. So I was like, okay, well, that explains it. And so they were saying, like, I need to make sure I use the bathroom and empty my bladder because it is in the way of the uterus trying to go down. And they were telling me like how they know I didn't empty my bladder is because they could feel my uterus off to the left and it needs to be going to the center or something like that. And they had me feel it. It was hard, like a ball. It was the weirdest thing. Like, she had me feel it. And so the older nurse said when she came in, because I was having trouble peeing, she was like, did they press on your stomach? And I was like, yeah, they did. She was like, let me see. She's like, no, they didn't do it right. When I tell you, she's like, I'm going to get you to pee now. I was like, what? When I tell you, this lady, she pressed and pressed. She did all kind of little stuff with her hands. Moved it, and I'm telling you, within like 5 minutes I had to pee. And she came back, she's like, I told you you was gonna pee. And then it was like so much blood and stuff, and she's like, don't worry about it, like you're just, you know, emptying out and it's okay. And I'm like, I just don't remember all of this stuff with Bella and Ava, but they didn't care. They cleaned up everything and they just treated me like a queen. Like, it was just so much love at that place, especially with my night nurse. She would come in there and check on me. How you doing, baby? What's going on? You need to get your sleep. When he sleep, you need to be sleeping. Okay? Now, I know you're trying to hold that baby and look at him, but you need to go to sleep. Like, that's how she talked to me. So, I would try to take her advice, and she would come in. You drinking some water? You need to be drinking some water. Here's some water. Are you hungry? You need some crackers? You need some pain medicine? How are you feeling? What on the scale? Okay, not the scale, but how are you feeling? Like, she was like that with me, and she took care of me. She hooked it up. She hooked it up. Like, she just made sure I was okay. Like, she really looked out for me and watched over me, made sure I was okay. And one time I was just so tired from everything that happened that she took care of him. Like, she was like, don't worry about it, I'm going to change him. So she would change him for me, and she just would hold him when he was crying, and she just would take care of him for me. So she was just so awesome. So, okay, I know I'm just like bragging on her, but she was great. Okay, guys, she was like an angel. So anyways, so then the next day, the next full day that I was there, he got circumcised. And that was tough because I'm not so educated on the male's anatomy other than for the purpose that is to make babies, okay? And my husband, was like, he's getting circumcised. My mom was like, he needs to get circumcised. Like, my husband's like, trust me, you don't want him to be grown and dealing with that. My mom was like, you don't want him to be grown and want to get circumcised. And, you know, he's a 30-year-old man and he got all these sutures. It's going to hurt worse as an adult. And then my husband's talking about, you know, how you got to, you know, clean it. You just go ahead and get him circumcised. So I was like, okay. So I got him circumcised. And what I learned was that the pediatrician on staff is not the one that circumcises him. It's the OB that's on call. But I was told he would do a great job, which he did. So they took him back there for his vitals. But while he was back there, the OB came in and was like, do you want him to get circumcised? I was like, yeah. They circumcised him. They brought him back. It seemed like it was forever. But he was gone for maybe about an hour. And I was like, I'm about to call these people and make sure that, you know, my baby's okay. But they brought him back. He was sleeping. I was like, oh my God. They said, no, he did really good. He did great. I'm like, okay. And I had to learn, you know, how to use the gauze and all of that kind of stuff, and the Vaseline. I'm calling it Vaseline, the petroleum jelly. If you watch my 2-month postpartum video, you'll see all of the equipment they gave me on how to do that changing process. So they gave me that, and then after that,
can I see?
Nope, you can't. That's Ava, guys. No, you can come over this way if you want to while I'm doing this video.
I'm showing that.
Okay, come on. You say hi.
Hi.
We can't see you. Say hey.
Hey. What you doing?
Ava. Anyways, I'm talking about baby brother when I have baby brother. Oh, girl, he's so big. You want to sit to the side, girl.
We love baby brother.
They can't see you because my video is so they can see mama. You try to see yourself? Alright, anyways, so let's see, then what happened? Okay, so then after that, I finally was able to get in the shower, take a shower and clean my body, all that kind of stuff.
And baby brother with mommy, so he won't cry. But he just started crying and coughing by himself.
Oh, that's a good point. Right, so Thank you. So when he was in the hospital, he would have like reflux real bad. So the second day I noticed it even more. And what happened was he was like spitting up, and then it was like he started choking, like his lips start turning blue and everything. And nobody
was trying to wipe his lips.
Can I tell the story? So I had to turn him. No nurses was around, and it was happening so fast that nobody was there in time enough for me to be able to hit the nurses button and to get him stabilized. So I just did what I thought to do, and I just turned him over and just started patting his back, and he cleared himself. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't remember experiencing that with, say hi Bella.
Hi.
I don't remember experiencing that with Bella or Ava. So I just did what I thought to do, and it scared the
Mommy
crap out
thought
of
it
me.
was crazy.
Ava, stop it. It scared the crap out of me. Like, I was so petrified. So I've had to keep my eye on him, like specifically on him. And that's always been a concern, which is part of the reason why he sleeps with me. Now it's because I want to be able to keep my eye. Stop it, guys. Anyways, usually I do these videos when they are sleeping or not around, but hey, I have done so many takes today. I ain't doing no more takes, so this is it, okay? They're gonna be in the video. Anyways, so let's see. So after that, let's see, the girls, they came up to visit so they could see their baby brother. And Bella was kind of like, Bella, how'd you feel when you first saw baby brother?
Happy.
You was happy? She was happy, but she was a little reserved.
Yeah, the when we left, I was sad and I was crying in the car.
Why was you crying in the car?
I didn't want her to leave yet.
Aw, but they had to go to school. And then Ava was all like, give me the baby. I was like, no, girl. So the hospital gave them all these little pins that said big sister. And Ava gets to be a big sister now. She's not the little sister anymore. And Bella is the biggest sister. And then we got baby brother. So they got their little pins. And then what I thought was really cool was it was dinner time. And the food service lady was like, they want something? I was like, She bought them some food too. So I thought that was so nice. The food was so good. Everything was good. The food was good. And then what I liked about the hospital is they like decorate your door. So if you're having like a little boy, they decorate the door with stuff. If you're having a little girl, they decorate the door with things. And everything in that room we was able to take home. Don't do that. We was able to take home. They had like a baby book for him. And they had like a little hat with the Atlanta, sign on it. They had like a gift bag with like body wash, shampoo, and not like little tiny travel size things. They had the little travel size things. No, I'm sorry, not the travel size things. These things were like this big and like a little tote. They had given me a big old black like tote bag from the hospital full of, those ice packs, those good old ice packs for down there when you sore, panties, those pennies, and heating pads and pads and pads and pads. And then my nurse, remember my nurse I was talking about, that's like your mama? She gave me everything. She gave me so many binkies and Pampers and onesies and changing pads and Chucks. Those were my best friend. If you go to my postpartum video, you know why, but they gave me Chucks. She gave me all these Chucks and wipes and just everything. And then the other thing is the hospital let me take the pillows too. There's like, do you want any extra pillows? Like, they gave us everything, like just everything. It was like, and then they had the towels all like in different shapes and stuff. It reminded me as if you was on a cruise ship. It was like that. But yeah, it was the best experience that I have had in regards to the service and how they did my plan for when I had the baby. Instead of letting me suffer like they did with Bella and Ava, not this hospital, this is a totally different hospital. Instead of letting me suffer, that I had a comfortable, seamless labor. Like, it was just cool. Like, it wasn't excruciating pain. I didn't throw up when I had him. Nothing like that. It was just wonderful. It was a wonderful experience for this to be my last child. If it's God's will, I don't know. Mr. Thomas says we ain't having no more, but who knows. I said I didn't want no more after I went through the 37th week, because it get real. That 37th through 40 week is the toughest one. It has always been for me. But now that it's all over, said and done, I don't know. It depends on what God wants, you know. But other than that, this labor and delivery experience was the best experience that I have ever had, simply because of the plan that they had for me was seamless. I got the Cervidil. They followed it up with Pitocin, but they gave me the epidural before the Pitocin, and they kept me monitored to make sure that I didn't go into too much distress, or that the baby didn't go into too much distress. And I was like monitored. I see him. Anytime that thing came off of my belly, see, there she goes. She loves baby brother. Anytime that thing came off my belly, they was running in there to make sure that they could monitor him as well. So it was just a great experience. Even the nurse staff, I mean, like, I almost didn't want to leave. Like, it was such a great vacation away from home. Like, I didn't want to leave. It was so good. But anyways, big thanks to the hospital. I had him at Northside in Atlanta, Georgia. So a lot of you watching this might be like, oh yeah, girl, Northside is the bomb. I already know. I knew it was Northside. Northside is the bomb. That's the best hospital ever. If you are in Atlanta, or you just found out you're pregnant and you're just trying to get an idea of what labor is like, and you are in Atlanta, if your doctor delivers there, if you can, I would strongly recommend Northside. That's the best hospital ever. It's been the best experience that I have ever had. And with that, I guess that's it. Like, I don't have anything else to say. That was my experience. It was great. If the Lord wills for me to have another baby, I would do it again, and I would do it there. No. So anyways, I'm gonna go do my mommy duties. And yeah, that's it. Do you want to say bye to the people, Chunk? We call her Chunk because she was chunky as a baby, but now she's thin as a twig.
Bye.
Alright guys, bye.